Sometimes life happens. You lose your job, or you are in between and you are, trying to really find yourself again. And it can be very complicated to apply for a credit card if you are in that period of your life, right? So in today's conversation, what I want to talk about is how do you apply for a credit card as a jobless and get approved? Because when you're not just applying for just the application process itself, you want to get approved. So let's talk about that. So here are the steps I really want you to follow. So if you are jobless, if you are unemployed, the very first thing that you want to do to get a credit card is you need to know your credit score. I'm not saying you need to check your credit score. I'm saying you need to know your credit score. There is a difference here, okay? And it's really important to understand that you have free credit score apps. But you also have like Credit Karma, Nerd Wallet. You have Wallet Hub. Those are free credit score apps that allow you to check your credit score, but also know your credit score from time to time. The reason why it's important to know your credit score is because if something were to happen, you know exactly, hey, listen, I was last week at the 578, or I was last week at 725. What happened this week? Why did I drop that much? You were monitoring your credit score, like you are doing this very thoroughly. It is important. If you are jobless, you want to get a high limit credit card, you need to track your credit score over time. Let's say 2 or 3 weeks, all the way leading up to the application process itself, to the credit card application process itself. There is another website called annualcreditreport.com that allows you to actually have an idea of all your 3 credit reports. Like, you see where you are at. So you see, like, you can see if there are problems, if there are some issues in your potential issues. Maybe somebody trying to play games with your good name and using your social security number to open credit cards and whatnot. So a lot of things. I mean, we live in a crazy world right now, and there are a lot of scammers out there, unfortunately, who want to take advantage of I would say law-abiding citizens like you and me. So you want to make sure that there's nothing fishy in your credit report, okay? And you also can get your credit score through your credit card statements. So some credit card companies list your credit score on your monthly statement, or you can find it by logging into your online account. So this is kind of important to have a clear idea. By the way, boss, welcome back to the show. It's really wonderful to have you here. I want you to stick around because I will be speaking to you about the step that you can take right now to get your credit score as a jobless. So the first thing is you want to know your credit score. The second thing I want you to do right now is to check for pre-approval. See, the whole thing here is that you first need to zero in on a specific credit card that you want. See, because if you are jobless, or let's say your income situation is not really stable, you can't just walk around and just apply for any random credit card. You got to be strategic. There's a lot of thoughts that needs to go on when it comes to the credit card that you want. And you want to start with the credit card at the very institution where you are currently at. Okay, it's important if you are at a credit union, if you are at a bank, it's important to talk to the bank first or credit union to see what kind of credit cards they have, because it's a lot easier to speak to somebody, quote unquote, somebody who already knows you, than to speak to a stranger. See, if you are currently at Chase, if you are with Bank of America, it's a lot better to apply for a credit card at those institutions instead of going all the way to Truist, going all the way to PNC, going all the way to a US Bank, because those banks, they don't know your ass. See, if they don't know your ass, it's difficult for them to approve your ass in the first place, right? It's just logic. So you want to check for pre-approval. And so see which cards you are pre-approved for, meaning you have a good chance of approval with the full application. You can see that so far, I'm talking to you about stuff you can do without bringing into the equation your employment situation. I mean, when you check for pre-approval, there's no question on that form that says, are you employed right now? No, they just ask you to give a general idea of your income level. Okay. By the way, boss, I just want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about how to apply for a high limit credit card as a jobless and get approved in the process. Okay. So money. Boss, talk to me about your monetary situation. Talk to me about your financial situation. I understand you have no job, but are you like a broke, or you are somewhere in between, or are you just chilling financially speaking? Because your financial situation will actually play an important role in your approval odds. Now, you can be jobless and still make money because you can derive income from, let's say, a third party source. You can have maybe a court ordered revenue payment at revenue generation process every single month. For example, child support, spousal support. You can get like all kinds of revenue. So being unemployed doesn't mean you have no revenue. The third thing I want you to do, boss, is to compare offers and choose the best credit card for your needs. This is so critical. See, the whole thing here is that when you have no job and you want to have a high limit credit card, you need to be, I just said it, you need to be strategic. You need to discriminate when it comes to the credit card you want to go for. And this is so important because this discrimination process allows you to zero in on the specific card that you are more likely to be approved for. And the thing is, which means what? It means you have to compare credit cards, you have to compare offers, and choose the best card for your needs. You can do this manually. In other words, you do it yourself based on research, or you can go on certain websites that allow you to compare credit cards side by side. For example, you have a website such as Nava. You have a website such as Nerd Wallet. You have a website such as Credit Karma. You have a website such as Wallet Hub. So you have a few websites that allow you to, those are called credit card aggregators. They allow you to compare credit cards side by side. So that way you have a clear idea of what you're getting yourself into before applying for a credit card as a jobless. So you have to think about, like, to actually compare offers, compare credit cards. You need to look at the card type, the fees, the rewards, sign-up bonuses, benefits, credit limits, and interest rates. So when we talk about the card type, you need to consider how you want to use the credit card before you choose one. Select the card with a 0% introductory annual percentage rate and not an airline credit card, for example, when you need to pay down a large purchase or balance. Okay, for the fees, you need to think about, some credit cards actually charge you an annual fee. But they will waive the fee that first year, but you still have the fee. So you got to ask yourself, am I really in for that? Well, what about rewards? You want to look for credit cards that offer cashback, rewards, points, or miles. Rewards should match your spending patterns. Consider how you plan to use the rewards and whether their value will outweigh any card cost. Very important. The next thing I want you to do here is to gather information to apply. See, if you want to apply for a credit card as a jobless, you got to ask yourself, what kind of conditions does a credit card issuer wants me to fulfill before I qualify for this credit card? Okay, and the thing here is that you usually have a trifecta. That's what we call a trifecta. To apply for a credit card and get approved, no matter what, you need to really remember this trifecta. I want you to write down right now, son, daughter, dad, mom, uncle. I'm talking to you. You want to think about your personal situation, your employment situation, and your financial situation. Those are the three things the credit card issuer wants you to really clarify before they issue you a credit card. Okay, your personal, your employment, and financial situation. Let's talk about that. But before we actually elucidate those three elements, I want to remind you once again, today's topic, we are having a convo about how to apply for a credit card as a jobless, okay, and get approved in the process. Now, when I talk about personal situation, this includes your name, birth date, social security or taxpayer identification number, your address, your phone number, and email. So the credit card issuer wants to have a full information about your demographics, okay? Like they want to know where you live at and all those kind of things. That's number one. This should not be a problem. It should not be a problem even if you don't have a job. This is like easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Now let's talk about your employment situation. Now, you will identify whether you are employed, unemployed, or self-employed, or you may need to provide your employer's phone number or other information for verification. This is where I'm just saying you can still qualify if you're jobless. Why? Because what the credit card issuer really cares about is the third part. They care about your financial situation. Okay, they want to know your gross annual income. They want to know how much you earn before taxes and other deductions. Okay, they want to know your monthly housing payment to help determine your credit limits. See, the whole thing is all of these things you can still provide that data without having a job. Okay, what I'm trying to say here is that even if you don't have a job at the moment, chances are you are looking for a job, or you are having a series of gigs on the side. Either way, you have to eat, you have to survive, you have to put food on the table. And how are you going to put it if you don't have a job, or you have not inherited a 1 million or multi-million dollar fortune from your late great uncle? So the point I'm trying to make here is that even if you don't have a regular job like a 9 to 5 that pays you a salary or wages every 2 weeks, every week, or every month, you can still actually show the credit card issuer all your other sources of income. When we talk about sources of income, it can be gig work. Like you can have your 1099. Maybe you're driving for Uber. Maybe you're driving for DoorDash, or you are just you have an online course where you are teaching a course on Teachable. You are teaching a course on Udemy. You're teaching a course on Coach.com, or you are just a personal coach. Like you are coaching people online and you are making money from there. So whatever brings you revenue right now, you have to list it in your application. This is so important. Next thing I want you to really remember here is that if you want to apply for a credit card as a jobless and get approved, just remember that you will have a ding to your credit when you apply. Okay, and this is actually part of the process. Do not feel bad about it. It's just part of the process. Expect and think. So you'll be asked to authorize a hard inquiry to determine your credit worthiness, okay, when you apply. And so this credit check can temporarily lower your credit score. This is why, if you remember, the very first step that I asked you to take was to check your credit score, right? So that way you can see whether or not it makes sense at this point to apply for a credit card and actually suffer this 10 points or 15 points, in some cases 15 points decline. Because see, if your credit score is currently around, let's say if your credit score is sub 600, if your credit score is around 575, 580, it makes a huge difference to have a 10 points or 15 points ding per hard inquiry. In other words, if you apply for 3 or 4 different credit cards, you will get to 4 times the 10 in terms of decline. Is it really worth it? Not much. So if you have a low credit score already, you have to be very careful about how often you apply for a credit card and the credit cards you apply for. And but if you have, let's say, a relatively high credit score, that's okay to have a temporary ding to your credit score. Okay. Now, the effect of a hard inquiry can vary based on credit history, but it's usually minimal. Okay. So for most people, one additional credit inquiry will take less than 5 points or 10 points off the credit score. But multiple inquiries within a short amount of time can make a dent in your credit score. You can minimize the effect of hard inquiries by only applying for credit when you need it and managing also your credit responsibly. Okay, and you can see that this doesn't matter whether you have a job or not. Managing your credit responsibly is not correlated to your job situation. It takes more financial discipline. It takes more financial resilience to be consistent, to be committed when the way you manage your financial life, and to also be content. You have to love the process. It is a process, a beautiful process that allows you to be financially responsible, but you have to love it and you have to do it consistently. So big decision time, boss. When was the last time you applied for a credit card? When was the last time you actually, how many credit cards did you apply for? Talk to me about that. And what was your corresponding decline in your credit score? The next thing I want you to really pay attention to, boss, is to have a repayment strategy. If you want to apply for a credit card as a jobless and get approved in the process, you have to think about the after. So once you are approved for a credit card, how are you going to manage a credit card? Sometimes it's really important to think about the after effect, what we call the after effect or the after process. Okay, and because for the credit card issuer to approve your application, the card issuer must see from you that you have a proof of resources, proof of revenue. And proof of revenue has nothing to do with your employment situation. You can have a job or not have a job and still prove to the credit card issuer that you will have enough cash coming in that will allow you to survive, that will allow you to pay your credit card charges, okay? And see, the thing is that having a repayment strategy means that you are able to find a way to manage your card responsibly. The most responsible way to use a credit card is to only make purchases you know you can afford to pay off when your bill is due every single month. Okay. You also will not owe interest charges when you pay your balance in full. And so using a budget and tracking your spending can help you keep your card balances in check. So consider this credit card repayment strategies. We actually have we always advise our clients to use a combination of those credit card strategies, okay, because some work, some don't work for some people. It really depends on your situation. So the first thing you want to do here is to pay off the balance each month. So avoid paying interest and rolling debt into the next month. You also want to make more than the minimum payment. So paying only the minimum can result in large interest charges over time. So you want to pay as much as you can each month to reduce your balance and save on interest, okay? You want to set up automatic payments. So you want to opt for at least the monthly minimum payment amount. This can ensure that you never miss a payment and avoid late charges and penalty interest rates. Okay. And also prioritize high interest balances first. Let's say if you have multiple credit cards with balances, you want to focus on paying off the card with the highest interest rate first. This will help you save money on interest charges, and also use balance transfers strategically and avoid new purchases. Here are a few pro tips that I want to give you before we close the conversation. So what should you do if your credit card application is denied? Because, hey, listen, life happens. Everything is not rosy. I mean, I've been telling you, you can apply all the steps that I just gave you, and something could just happen, and the credit card issuer can say, you know what? We really don't like your profile, and we're not going to approve you at this time. Okay. There are three things you have to do. If your credit card application is denied, if you are jobless right now, I want you to do those three things. First of all, don't panic. First of all, don't be pissed or whatever. Don't say that, yeah, I don't understand why, I applied for this credit card and they deny my ass. This is the third time, the fourth time, the fifth time they're denying my ass. It's crazy. I hate them. Don't have this mindset. No. Because credit card issuers, they have an algorithm. They have a quantitative model to actually gauge like credit risk, to gauge risk. And because that's how they cover their asses. This is how they mitigate risk. Okay. We're talking about default risk. We're speaking about credit risk. So you want to read the letter that they sent you. So when they denied your ass, they will send you a letter explaining why they denied your ass in the first place. I want you to take that letter and quietly, thoroughly, consciously, you want to read the letter and see exactly the reason why you were denied. This could be maybe because your revenue is too low for the card you were applying for. Maybe because your FICO score is too low for the card you were applying for. Maybe because you have a bunch of collection on your credit report. Maybe you don't have I would say a stable employment history, or you haven't had a stable employment history in the last 3 years, for example. So you want to see whatever reasons, and then you want to start addressing that. The second thing you want to do here is you can also, if you think the reasons that are mentioned on the denial letter, if those reasons are not for real, then you can just contact the credit card issuer and ask for a reconsideration. There is a line called the reconsideration line where you can just maybe, again, appeal the decision and say, listen, I think blah, 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 blah. But the third thing you want to do here is that if the reconsideration doesn't work, the process doesn't work, then you want to start fixing the problems that they identify in the denial letter. If they say your credit score is too low, think about, making sure that your credit score goes up. If they say that you don't have a stable source of revenue, start thinking about stabilizing your revenue. Okay, so those are things you want to do, because sometimes a credit card application denial can be a great thing if you know how to learn from the process and actually rebound real fast. thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was just talking to you about how to apply for a credit card as a jobless. So I give you the steps you need to do and also the pro tips. God bless you. I'll speak to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.